City of Chicago, one cold dark night, a blizzard was setting in. Little boy was selling newspapers on the corner. So cold, people were hurrying by trying to get to their homes where they'd be in out of the cold. Little boy wasn't selling many papers, so he walked up to a policeman. He said, "Mister, you wouldn't happen to know where a poor boy could find a warm place to stay tonight, would you?" He said, "You see, I sleep in a box around the corner, down the alley. Gets awful cold in there of a night. Sure would be nice to have a warm place to stay." The policeman looked down at the little boy. He told him, "You go down the street, that big white house. Walk up the steps, knock on the door. When they come to the door, you just say John 3:16. They'll let you in." So he did. He walked down the street to the big white house, walked up the steps, knocked on the door. A lady came to the door. He said, "John 3:16. She said, "Come on in, son." She took him into a big old split-bottom rocker in front of a big old fireplace. She went off and left him. He thought to himself, John 3:16. I don't understand it, but it sure does make a cold boy warm. Later, she came back in and she said, asking, "Are you hungry?" He said, "Well, just a little. I haven't eaten in a couple of days. I guess I could stand just a little bit of food." She took him into the kitchen to a big old table just full of nice food. He ate until he couldn't stand anymore. He thought to himself, John 3:16. I don't understand it, but it sure does make a hungry boy full. She took him upstairs to a bathroom, to a big old bathtub just full of warm water. He sat and he soaked. He thought to himself, John 3:16. I don't understand it, but it sure does make a dirty boy clean. I don't guess I ever had a real bath in my whole life. Closest thing to a real bath I ever had was when I stood in front of the fire hydrant and they flushed him out. She took him into the bedroom, tucked him into a big old feather bed, pulled the covers up around his neck, kissed him good night, turned out the lights. He lay there in the darkness. The snow was coming down, so cold outside. He thought to himself, John 3:16. I don't understand it, but it sure does make a tired boy rested. The next morning, she took him back down to that same big table full of food. After he ate, she took him back into that same big split-bottom rocker in front of the fireplace. She took down her Bible. She said, "Son, do you understand John 3:16? He said, "No, ma'am, I don't. First time I ever heard it was last night when the policeman told me to use it." She opened her Bible. She began to explain to him about Jesus. Right there in front of that fireplace. The little boy gave his heart and his life to Jesus. He thought to himself, John 3:16. I don't understand it. It sure did make this little lost boy saved. You know, I have to confess, I don't understand it either. Why God would send His Son. Why Jesus would do such a wonderful thing, to leave the splendor of heaven, to walk on earth as man, and die such a terrible death on the cross at Calvary. No, I don't understand it either. But you know what? It sure did make this whole lost person saved. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. The city of Chicago, one cold dark night, a blizzard was setting in. Little boy was selling newspapers on the corner. So cold, people were hurrying by trying to get to their homes where they'd be in out of the cold. The little boy wasn't selling many papers, so he walked up to a policeman. He said, "Mister, you wouldn't happen to know where a poor boy could find a warm place to stay tonight, would you?"